Hello, everyone. Today we are going to take a look at one of Ella's excellent exteriors. So as a reminder, we have 3 hides in this search area. Part of it was in grass, part of it was not. Ella has never had a problem searching in grass. We've never had her soil or anything like that on grass. However, she had a little bit too many treats, probably too many of Ginny's fish treats the day before. And she actually was a little bit sick this day. And so Luna did have a history of having some issues out in exterior searches. And this definitely got into my head a little bit. And so that's one of the reasons I want to show this to you guys, because it's a perfect example of how you may think that you're helping when in reality, you're not helping, and you're actually going to cause it to take longer than if you would have just let your dog do the search on their own. So we're at the start line. I'm getting ready to send her out. My very first thought was that I was going to be surprised if there was not a hide on those stairs, and there is a hide on those stairs. So she's going to go almost immediately to that first hide. Works it really nice. I wish you guys would have had a little bit better view there, but now, again, I want to get off of the grass, so I'm actually moving her a lot quicker than I normally would. My plan was to go down the middle of these 2 rows of benches, and she actually finds the second hide pretty easily here. She's working the odor right now, going back and forth and sourcing it, and it's going to be right on the seat of the bench that she's on. Again, unfortunately, you guys can't see a great alert. So this is where I made an error. So I've got to pause it. What happens is I'm going to finish going down that row, and then I'm going to cut along the corner and work the grass almost here. And the reason for that is that's the direction that we had the most information with airflow. The wind was coming that way. And so I wanted to potentially help her find that third hide by putting her where there was going to be airflow. So, and again, the funny thing is that this actually caused it to take her much longer. So she's going to come around here. She actually wanted to go back in, and I was like, no, Ella, let's go this way. And she's like, but why? This scratch right here is probably due to me trying to lead her through the search. Nose down. She's not really picking anything up, and that's because there isn't any odor over here other than what potentially is coming from the chair or the bench, which if there was any, it was very little. So she's trying to figure out what's going on. We're not very successful. So here in a second, we're going to go back down the row where we were a few minutes ago. So again, this is a perfect example of how we can take over a search. We get in our heads, and all we're doing is wasting time when she could have already solved this puzzle. And you're going to see it here in a second when she comes back down. It's kind of, see, look, she's frustrated again. She's like, Mom, why are you telling me what to do? And the thing is I'm only a little bit telling her what to do. I'm not nearly telling her what to do at the level that I could be, but it was definitely making her not happy with what I was doing. So we went back the same way. Again, I was hoping to give her some information. And here is where she finally is like, oh, hey, here's the info I wanted to work earlier. So she's going to come down, and her last hide is actually on this bench. Oh, right there. Well, she's still doing it. Maybe it's at the other end. I haven't watched it since that weekend. Nope, it's right there. So good girl. She qualified. There actually wasn't a huge pass rate on this, but if we go all the way back to when I first took her off, watch her behavior. So she finds this hide. I reward her. I decide that I'm going to kind of take over, and she was probably working odor right here. Leash got tight, and we actually went way into handler focus instead of letting her work. So this is where when you start to overthink a search and you start to think about theory and airflow and all those sorts of things, that sometimes you get in your own head and you take a search that was pretty straightforward and you make it way more complicated for you and the dog. Now, I'm not saying that you don't want that information. Let's say that I had let her work. What I really should have done is let her work from the second hide the rest of the way down. I should have let her effectively work that, and then it would have made perfect sense for me to still go the way that I did and back again for her to get that information. But I should have allowed her to finish going down to the last part of the row of benches, and she probably would have picked up that odor the first time. So, and this is also why it's important that we're always topping up our desire and their confidence, because we will make mistakes like these, but our dogs can learn to recover from it if we make sure that we're always topping up that desire with them. So just keep that in mind. All right, guys. So that was our excellent exterior, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.